Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to give you guys a client makeup tutorial. So if you would like to see how to get your client's makeup this smooth, then keep watching. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing a client tutorial, and my client, I believe it was her birthday. So she wanted a neutral cut crease, so that's what we'll be doing today. I'm starting out by filling in her brows, and I'm using the NYX brow gel, and I'm using hair-like strokes to make sure that my client has the most natural brows. And I'm making sure I'm starting with the end first because I like to make the end a lot darker than the front to give the brow a kind of ombre effect. It's kind of like as if you were to go to like a microblading place and they give you the ombre brow. That's the type of brow that I like to give my clients on a normal basis. So now I'm taking my Morphe E10 brush, and it's just like a really fluffy concealer brush, and I'm applying the LA Girl Pro Concealer underneath the brow to make sure that I give her a nice sharp brow shape, and I make sure that the brows are nice and asymmetrical, so we want them to be as close as possible. And you know, if your brows don't come out, you know, completely the same, it's okay, because brows are meant to be sisters. Oh, I think it's sisters and not cousins, or cousins and not sisters. Either way, it's okay if you don't have perfect brows, because brows aren't perfect. Nothing on the face is perfect, but it's best to just, you know, work with what you have and make sure that your client is happy. As you can see, I'm kind of connecting that concealer just to make sure everything is even. And you guys, you want to use a concealer that is the same tone as her skin when going on top of the brows, because it's nothing worse than a halo brow in 2020, okay? So as you can see, I'm just going in and redefining some of that shape with the brow gel, and I'm following the lines of the concealer that I used. Her brows are a little sticky because I use glue normally to lay down the brow hairs, but it works wonders. Now I'm using a fluffy brush from e.l.f. to just blend out that concealer and prepare for the eyeshadow. So the eyeshadow palette I'll be using today is the Morphe Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 palette, and I'm only going to use 2 colors on her eyes. I'm starting out with the brown, and I'm packing that on just to make sure that it goes right into the crease, but also right above or right below the brow bone. And it's okay to not be able to use 5 different colors on a client. Sometimes you do have to work with only 2 because they have small eyes. So I'm just feathering that color out, and then I went ahead and applied some black. My camera did shut off during the time that I was blending this out, but I just applied the black right below that brown. And now what you see me doing is I'm cutting the crease, and today we're going to be doing a matte eyeshadow. So I'm not using too much product, because if you use too much product, then the shadows won't lay right. And I'm basically just going to be going back and forth between each eye until I get the desired shape and desired length of the cut crease. And just a little quick tip for you guys: if you are very messy with the shadows, because you know shadows have a lot of fallout, you can do what I'm doing here, and I'm just taking a Neutrogena makeup wipe, and I'm wiping the edges to kind of give her eyeshadow a more sharp look. Now I'm using a fluffy brush to apply the lid color, and I'm just using that because it allows me to cover larger surface area on her eye space. And then I'm going to take a tinier brush, and I'm just going to fill in those edges to make sure I keep the crease nice and sharp. So now I'm just going in with that black color that we used earlier, and the black color I used is from the Morphe James Charles palette. I found that black is just the blackest black that I own, and I really like how it blends in with the neutral colors on her eyelid already. And we're just blending out those edges to give it a more seamless and softer look. That way the shadows aren't so start and stop. And then to better define her eyes, I'm just going in with this liner from Wet n Wild, and it's just a black liquid liner, and I'm going at an angle for her eyelids. That way when she opens her eyes, it kind of gives her eyelids a lifted effect. So now we're going to go ahead and prep the skin. So first, for your clients, you want to make sure you always moisturize. No matter if they have dry skin or oily skin, every client needs moisturizer to prepare for the amount of products that you're about to put on their face. You want to make sure you take care of the skin under so that you can have a smooth canvas. So I'm just using some Cetaphil moisturizer just to moisturize her skin. And then I'm going to go ahead and prime. The primer that I'm using today is one of the Urban Decay primers, and I believe this is their all-nighter matte primer. So then for foundation today, I used Lancome Tint Idol in the color 460, and I used a very little bit because her skin is so smooth that she doesn't really need much. So I'm just gonna go in with that just a little bit, and then we're gonna go ahead and contour and highlight with a little more foundation. And I'm just using that 460 on the outer edges of my face. Then I'm going in with some concealer and foundation. I will leave that down below because I don't really remember which ones I use. I have to go back into the footage. But I'm just using the foundation to highlight under her eyes, her nose, her chin, her cupid's bow, and her forehead. So, and then I'm just making sure I use a brush to clean up the edges of that eyeshadow just a little more. And then I'm going to go in with a beauty blender, and this is a damp beauty blender. It isn't too wet, so it isn't going to like move the product, but the beauty blender is just nice and damp enough to soak up some of that excess product, because I do end up going in with a little more foundation for her entire face to blend out the highlight. So here I'm using 460 on her entire face, just to blend out the highlight and make her skin kind of one-dimensional, as opposed to, you can see the left side is all blended, and then the right side still needs some work to be done. So you guys can kind of see the difference that creates on her skin, but it really makes her skin just nice and smooth. And as you can see, her skin isn't dry, cakey, or anything. And then I'm going in with my Juvia's Place I Am Magic concealer, and I believe for her I used the shade 13. And I'm just applying that the same way that I applied that lighter foundation, and we're applying it on the nose, forehead, under the eyes, cupid's bow, and chin. And then I'm taking a slightly darker concealer but closer to her skin tone, and I'm just putting that on the edges of that lighter concealer, because it helps for the concealer to blend and have her skin look more of like a gradient effect, instead of, again, a start and stop kind of look with the dark colors in contrast with the light colors, if that makes any sense, you guys. And then I'm going in with a darker color, and I believe this is Togo by Juvia's Place. It's the I Am Magic foundation. I love to use these foundations especially to contour, because they are so creamy and so thick that sometimes when I use them all over the face for a client, it just doesn't work out, especially with my skincare prep. But using it as contour is really nice. It just slims down the face, and you can kind of see that it gives her face a really nice shadow without looking too gray, because I hate when a contour looks really gray because our skin isn't gray. It does look good on photos because it creates a shadow, but this is amazing. Okay, so as you can see, I'm blending out that darker area of her contour first, and then I'm going in and blending out that concealer. I like to blend out the contour first, that way when I blend the concealer, everything kind of just moves together and acts as one. I really hope you guys get this explanation. So then I'm going in and I'm kind of blending out that middle part between the lighter concealer and the darker concealer, and then I'm moving upward towards her eyelid where the lighter concealer is. This will also again help make sure the skin has a nice gradient and make sure everything is blended. And I like to go in with a beauty blender afterwards to just make sure that everything is nice and smooth. So for this next step, we're moving on to setting the face, and this is a crucial part because this is the part that makes her makeup last. The priming does as well, but it's also the setting as well, and it can also affect how her skin actually looks. So I'm using the Sasha Buttercup setting powder, and I mixed it with a little bit of air spun powder to lighten up that yellowness, the yellow tone a bit, because it is kind of dark. Sasha Buttercup does have a lighter version, but I just didn't have it on hand. So to set her contour, I'm using my Maybelline 365 Fit Me foundation, powder foundation, and I'm just setting those areas where you know, she has the contour. Then I'm blending her skin out using my MAC mineralized skin finish. But first I use the Maybelline 362 just to smooth out those highlighted areas, and then now you see me going in with the MAC. So the MAC I normally use at the last step, and I go in like all over the face because this literally makes everything so smooth. So now I'm going in with some highlight, and the highlight that I'm using today is from my Queens of Vanity collection. I haven't come out with it yet, but it's called 24 Karat Gold, and I'm just putting that on her cupid's bow, forehead, nose, chin, and cheeks. So with my technique, the final steps are always the blush and the lipstick. So I used a blush from the Juvia's Place, I believe, Zulu palette. It was just a nice light deep pink that I used, and because the palette was so pigmented, I didn't have to use much. Then I'm going in with some Chestnut by MAC, and I'm just lining her lips and prepping them for the lip color. The lip color that I'm using today is the NYX Soft Matte liquid lipsticks, and this in the color London. So once the lipstick is blended, then I go ahead and set the skin. And I like to use my Mario Badescu Rose Water Spray, and then I go in with the Urban Decay All Nighter afterward. Alright guys, and this is the final look. I hope you guys learned some tips and tricks for yourself, or maybe if you're an aspiring makeup artist, even for your clients. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!